Kreaturelagoth, you watch your Underworld voices, you fucking with the South Bronx vampire. Big demon shit. You heard?
That's freaky type, messy shit. I can see it in her eyes. I can see it in her eyes. I can see it in her eyes.
So what were your early musical inspirations and what led you to create the music you make now?
When I was a little shit, I was definitely into like metal, like deathcore, hardcore, metalcore. So like a lot of like Suicide Silence, Job for a Cowboy, I Declare War, like Texas in July shit, you feel me? I used to slam dance and shit. So I grew up in the hardcore scene, so a lot of local bands that probably like, you know, people don't know about. Shout out to Sons of Katie Elder. That was a Bronx metalcore band that I was really into. Whitechapel, you know, things of that nature, Oceano, you know, a lot of shit like that influenced me. And then like, you know, I had like the dark wave and the goth shit. So like the regular shit, Pet Shop Boys, fucking Bauhaus, you know, Christian Death, you know, it was all in collective. And then I was into rap, like A$AP Rocky was one of my favorite fucking rappers at the time, A$AP Mob, Joey Badass, the Underachievers, and shit of that nature growing up, yeah.
So who or what inspired your aesthetic?
Well, honestly, I've always been like this since I was young. I was in middle school painting my nails black, wearing makeup, wearing metal t-shirts, wearing black metal t-shirts, you feel me? Wearing Mayhem shirts, like Suicide Silence shirts. So like I was just into all the music, and aesthetically, I would just create my own look, you know? And I guess bands like, I can't really say fucking metalcore and like deathcore shit because they'll fucking go up there with a wife beater. You feel me? But like a lot of goth bands influenced how I look and my aesthetic, makeup wise, and yeah, that's what I would say. Like a lot of goth and dark wave bands influenced my aesthetic.
What role and importance does your heritage play in your art?
Oh, a huge role. Like I grew up in the South Bronx. I grew up across the street from Forest Projects. That's where like hip hop, that was where hip hop was created. So me going into the trap metal rap shit, I knew that I had to incorporate all of me into that. Me being Puertorriqueño, being Puerto Rican, you know, coming from, I don't know if everybody knows, but Fat Joe grew up in Forest Projects. Big Pun grew up a 10-minute walk from Forest Projects, you know, so me being Puerto Rican, them being Puerto Rican, that played a huge influence. That's why even in some of my songs, I'll speak Spanish or like, you know, I'll speak in Latin and I'll let people know. Us Puerto Ricans, we're very loud, we're very prideful. You feel me? We're very prideful as Puerto Ricans, and we let people know, even if it's subconsciously, we let people know that we are Puerto Rican. So it played a huge influence into like how I play my, like what I put into my music and how I go about the world. You know, everywhere I go, I let people know that I'm Puerto Rican. It's a beautiful thing, you know? It's a beautiful thing to be from Taino descent and have Taino blood in you, period, you know?
What was it like growing up where you did?
Well, like I said, I grew up by Forest Projects, McKinley Projects. I grew up in the hood, like in the projects, you know. There's like watchtowers, there's cops on every corner, there's shootouts going on, there's fights going on. You know, you gotta fight to be who you wanna be, especially me. I'm a goth kid growing up in the projects with a whole bunch of shit going on. I had to imagine you walking past a group of dudes that are like, you know, they banging and shit like that, and you walking gracefully chilling and you wearing makeup, it ain't gonna be a pretty sight. You know, people are gonna say some things. So in order to stop making them say things, you gotta fight to be who you wanna be sometimes. But it's beautiful. I find it, like if you grew up in the Bronx and New York, you built to go anywhere, you know? And like there's a lot of culture. I could go down the block and find 10 different nationalities of people, 10 different nationalities of food. There's not one place I feel like in America that you could do that at other than New York. There's a lot of places that are melting pots, but not melting pots to the point where there's like, you can find 10, 20 different nationalities on one block. You know, you come outside, there's shit going on. You know, you don't need to go deep to go find something to have fun with, to go find people to be friends with. Like, and as long as you're a real person out here in the Bronx will reciprocate that. You can't be out here trying to, oh, I just moved to New York, I just moved to the Bronx, and now like I could wear this and I could do this and like people are gonna accept me. Nah, New Yorkers are real as fuck. Now you go into the Bronx, they're even more real, period, you know? So like growing up in there, like I grew up as an alternative kid, being into metal, being into dark wave music, being into all kinds of things. And then also just growing up in the hood, skateboarding, you know, doing my thing. And it built me in a different way. That's why I am the way I am. That's why I talk the way I talk. That's why I feel the way I feel. And that's why I put out the shit that I put out, you know? And it's a beautiful thing to me. You know, I don't know about anybody else, but to me it's beautiful.
Can you explain what your spiritual beliefs are?
And I smoke Newports too. That's how you know I'm from the Bronx. I smoke Newports, you heard? My spiritual beliefs?
Yeah.
So I'm Luciferian, so it's like, you know, like more the spiritual aspect of life, but like the darker shit, you know? Like it's not like really like a Satanist, you know? I wouldn't say a Satanist because a lot of new wave Satanists don't believe in spirituality and things outside of this dimension. They believe in mostly science and things that you could see at the forefront of your two eyes. I believe we have three eyes, and I'm grateful that I was born around a whole bunch of people and shamans that brought me up like that, and 5%ers and God bodies, 5%ers and God bodies that brought me up to understand that there's more to this life, there's more dimensions to this life. This is a spiritual world. We coexisting in it. It's a spiritual world. Spirituality comes first, and then physical comes. Depending on how your soul is, that'll play out into how your physical is, you know? And yeah, you know, I dabbled in like, you know, in the arts and shit like that. I'm into the occult, which is another beautiful thing. It runs in my blood. Especially as like native people. If you have native blood in you, that runs in our blood. And it's just like creating, for me personally, it's creating the best life that I could have in this world successfully, and doing it without malicia, without malice, you know, not being out here like, oh yeah, I understand how to do spells, I understand how to do certain rituals and shit like that, but I'm not gonna use it to be selfish and be a prick in this world. I'm gonna just use it to better myself in this world, and that's what you know, growing up, I grew up meditating, and then I got into other things, you know, and candle magic and chaos magic and things of that nature, and black matter energy. And I just used it into correlation with my music sonically. And, you know, music is spells. Sound is frequency. So how are you gonna make a betterment in this world through sound and frequency? And that plays heavy into my occultism. And but yeah, I'm into the occult, period.
We're having a hard time like finding out like
What role do your beliefs play in your art?
You're doing one of those like, you know.
Okay, I feel like I kind of answered that, but
My bad.
nah, hell no. But so basically, me being into the occult and being into chaos magic and magic in general, because it's not like that's all I know, but I know this industry is very, you know, it's very fickle, so you got to protect yourself always, you know. And my music they're spells. Not only are they spells to create betterment for me and the people around me in this world, but it's also to higher consciousness. I'm just a messenger. So the universe speaks through me, entities speak through me, and I use that into my music. That's another reason why I'll speak in Latin, or I'll do spells in my music, You know, it's to project a certain frequency and try to raise the frequency within this world, because a lot of the shit going on in this world is not just chaotic, but it's very low vibrational. Very low vibrational. So it's how can we higher the frequency, but also appeal to the masses, you know? And that's what becomes fickle, but it's a like I said, like before, like it's a beautiful thing to me. And I try my best to incorporate everything that I've been taught as a teenager and now growing up into my music, sonically, you know, because like I said, music is frequency. So how can you manipulate frequency for the betterment of everything and for the people around here? Period. That's how I look at it. My spiritual beliefs, I always put that shit into my music. And even like live, like I do blood rituals, you know, I do body mutilation, I do blood offerings, you know, I'll put sigils on my body, not only just for protection, but also like to raise certain things within the performance. You know, it plays a huge part into what I do, sonically and visually, as an artist. You know, yeah.
What are some misunderstandings, misconceptions about these beliefs you have?
That I'm like out here every day cutting up goats and fucking like I'm fucking goats and shit, and I'm fucking doing weirdo shit, and like I'm, you know, sacrifice. Like, don't get me wrong, there's certain spells and rituals that you gotta do what you gotta do. But like, I'm not out here fucking living off of malice, you know, and trying to hurt people and trying to like throw hexes on people. I feel like people that do that type of shit are not not just very insecure, but two, like they don't have the betterment of society within their persona, you know? And a lot of people will be like, I'm a demon this, I'm a demon that, until it really comes time to like, to play with the occult and put certain things into existence. You know, I come from a place where I used to do mushrooms in a cemetery and do some spells, you know. A lot of people are not built for that. One, I'm not saying that it's easy. That's not what I'm trying to put out. It's not easy. What I will say, it does take time. It takes self-awareness and time and knowing what your purpose in this life. You know, it came to the point where I had to understand one of my purposes in this life, especially as a music artist, you know? Yeah.
So what do you see as the future of your music and art?
I see myself performing for thousands of people globally. I've already performed for thousands of people, you know? Even at one shot, in one show, I've performed for thousands of people, which I'm grateful for. Like, there's nothing that I want to be doing more in the world than to be making good music, be making good money off my music, off my passion, off my love. Music has helped me to live better, sleep better, eat better, think better, feel better, you know? So there's nothing more in this world that I want to be doing more than raising the frequency globally, you know? Because like I said, music is frequency. And like I said, I'm just a messenger, you know? So there's nothing more that I want to be doing than traveling the world, doing what I'm passionate about, and making decent money, good money, to provide for me, my girl, the people around me, you know, and the world, you know? I see myself as one of the biggest I am one of the biggest artists out of the Bronx that's doing alternative music, period. Even if I don't get no shot, I don't give a fuck. But if you come through into the Bronx and you talking about alternative music, you talking about goth music, you talking about trap metal music, you know me. You know who Kreaturelagoth is. And that's not me tooting my own horn, because I'm not anybody that knows me knows that I'm not, they know that I'm humble. They know that I'm loving, and whoever I'm around, I try to show the most of respect, love, and community with. You know, anybody that knows, that comes through the Bronx knows what I am. I see myself as being one of the biggest goth artists out of New York, being one of the biggest trap metal artists out of New York. You know? Cam and Sos Mula probably got that shit right now. But I see myself, you know, being a little bit under them and shit like that, and like coming up right now is my rise, you feel me? Now is my time.
Where do you see the music industry going in general?
Oh, the music industry in general. Oh. Where do I see the music industry going in general? Well, the music industry is a very intense realm. It's a different type of vibe going on in the music industry. But I feel like the world globally is going through a higher consciousness incline. So that music plays into that, you know? And I feel like more people are getting hip to like how to make things better with music and sonically. And then I also see like the music taking like, there's no boundaries. There's no like, you can't put certain things in a box anymore, you know? And like that type of duality is beautiful for music, because music is art and art is not to be boxed in, you know? And I'm really appreciative of that. I'm grateful of it, you know? And I feel like music needs to continue in that direction, you know? But you always gonna have your fucking, you know, whatever, the nonsense fast food music. But how can music shift the world? And that's the type of shit I'm into. You know, how can music shift the world? And I feel like it's shifting. It's always shifted the world, but I feel like it's shifting the world in a different type of sense right now. And it's gonna continue on that incline. Whether people wanna believe it or not, whether people wanna accept it or not, is either like get on the train or like you're gonna get left. But there's definitely a good duality going within all types of music. So many people are collaborating from different genres, you know, and yeah, that's a dope thing to me.
How do you feel about the world around us right now? I guess you kind of answered that.
Okay, so like,
elaborate on
yeah. So I feel like the world around us, like this is even growing up in high school, like, you know, I didn't graduate high school, you feel me? Like I did it, I got my GED or none of that, but like I feel like the world around us is not built for entrepreneurs and bosses and people that want to actually shift this world into not just a positive light, but into like a incline, you know? And like people like us and artists in all aspects of artists, whether you paint, whether you film, whether you act, whether you do music, whatever you may do, I feel like we have a certain power within this world, you know, spiritually, to help incline the world. You know, this world is very fickle. It's very wild and chaotic. The world is very chaotic. So it's how can you create a peace of mind within this chaos in the world, you know? And just try to approach people with love, try to approach situations with love, but don't let people take advantage of you. Don't let things take advantage of you. Don't go through this world like a bitch, you know, period. Don't go through this world like a bitch, but also create a certain type of peace of mind and love atmosphere that you can incline the world, you know? But this world is a beautiful world. Right now, we in New York, I've seen, like I said, every type of person walk past me, you know? This world is a beautiful world. So if you have a negative aspect on this world and like, oh, this world is, it can be, of course, life is not easy. I done been through homelessness. I done been through sleeping in staircases, sleeping on benches in the fucking park. You feel me? I am where I am now, which I'm grateful for, and I'm grateful for the people around me that were able to put me into that type of realm. But never look at the world like it's shitty. Because yes, there's certain aspects about it that is shitty, but this is a beautiful life. It always is, you know? It depends on your perspective on it and how your if you know how to control your subconscious, your conscious brain will react in a better way. So don't look at this world subconsciously like if it's shitty, you know? Because it's a beautiful life.
Alright, so finally, do you have anything in the works, projects, events you want people to know about?
Yes, actually, I'm working on a new project on like a 7-song EP. This is gonna be one of my most, not only just experimental, but commercial type of EPs. Not cringy commercial. This is not fucking Justin Bieber. You feel me? But what I will say is like I've been experimenting with different type of sounds, and other than trap metal. So I'm doing this EP. I got a few videos out. Shout out fucking Tormenta. He shot one of the videos that I'm gonna be releasing soon. Shout out Tech, CEO Tech. He shot another video that I'm gonna be putting out soon for one of my songs called Blood Oaths. I got a few shows in the works. You know, I got a show tonight. I got some shows out in Cali next month. And I just been working, man, you know, networking. And I also like act. I dabble in acting. So, you know, I've been extras in a few movies that are gonna be coming out on Amazon Prime. I got movies that's coming, yeah, Amazon Prime, Tubi, and shit like that. And yeah, I've been working, you know, I've been working.
Appreciate your time.
I appreciate you, my brother. Always, always.